如今的你是不是人生很迷茫呢？快来参加我是谁线上课程，一起来探讨到这个世界的意义和使命是什么。
欢迎大家回到我的频道。然后今天呢，我们请到一个特别的嘉宾，他的名字叫做 Seonmi， 他是韩国人，可是呢，他住在美国，所以我们这一期呢比较特別，將會用英語來表達。而且呢，有看過《破墓》這個電影的話，
연기 가수의 자해 60급자 총불화생 위아도제 혹입 천문이라
相信大家也对这一个所谓他们的韩国跳大神到底是什么 Sorry, I have to talk in Mandarin because yeah, just a quick introduction. So welcome to my channel. I'm so pleased that you are able to mix out some times to spend time with my audience and to talk about what exactly is the Korean Mudang. I think to begin with, it will make sense to have a bit of introduction about yourself, like how you started this, and then we can probably start with all this gossip around this movie called Exhuma, and in Chinese called 破墓. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. It's nice to meet all of you. So my name is Seonmi. That is my Korean name. Technically, I started with, I guess, kind of like the term that you were mentioning, psychic medium, being very more recent and Western. In a similar way, I really started branching off into researching and practicing eclectic or various forms of witchcraft spirituality since I was very young.
You're still very young.
Yeah, like 10 years old. You know, my parents were raising us as Christian primarily, but there was a significant feeling where, I didn't feel anything. I didn't hear anything. There was just nothing there for me when I tried praying to Christian God or Jesus. It just didn't really do anything for me, for my heart. So I started branching off and practicing different spiritualities, just trying to see what fit me. After a while, I eventually became a Kemetic Orthodox. So Kemetic Orthodox is a revivalist ancient Egyptian religion that is actually recognized by the United States government. So that is primarily regarding worship about worshiping ancient Egyptian gods and practicing their form of magic or ritual.
Were you born as a Christian?
Oh. Yeah, and it was, I want to say I did that maybe for 3 years before I started really suffering Shinbyung. I started suffering Shinbyung before that, but it didn't become serious until after that. And Shinbyung translated is roughly spirit sickness. It's when gods choose you to follow this particular path to become a Mudang. And so what really made me understand that I might be going through that is because I started having really strange physical issues. Doctors didn't know what was happening to me because I was a healthy young woman at the time. But it was where it felt like a hand was crushing my heart and my lungs. And I would randomly get these sense of, it felt like electric shocks going down my neck and my shoulders. And it was just so sudden and painful. I would have to try to keep myself from shouting out from the sensation of it. I never had any historical trauma or medical issues that explain these symptoms. And doctors had no idea what was going on. I was going through that. I figured, spiritual spaces, a lot of people will get kind of symptoms or signs from their own guides or deities that they're worshiping. And so I just figured it was just something like that. Yeah, other spiritual people probably have gone through something similar. Doctors don't know what's going on, so whatever, I'm just going to keep living life. And then I I would have premonition dreams come true, and it would just become, I've experienced those for a really long time, like since I was really young, but it started getting to the point when they would come true. I would hear loud gong sounds and I would experience vertigo. So I'd have to hold on to something solid to stay standing. Otherwise I would get knocked down to the ground. And then what really, really made me realize I was probably going through something actually was this particular dream. Several of my ancestors had come into my house from Korea, and they were carrying like a large bag of things. And, I was saying, I'm so sorry I didn't know that you guys were going to come. I would have gotten all this food ready for you guys to eat. And my ancestors said, well, you don't have to worry about it. You can give us offerings later. And in my sleep state, it didn't really ping anything to me because at the time I wasn't very dutiful about giving offerings to ancestors. Like my family just never really did that. So I didn't really think about it. And then later on in the dream, they pulled out that bag, and in the bag was a bunch of Mudang sacred tools and ceremonial garb. I had no idea. I didn't know what any of it was. And I tried pushing it back, saying like, oh, I can't accept all of these gifts. This is too much. And they shoved it back towards me, and they're just like, you can't say no. You have to have these. You're meant to have them. And I was just like, oh, okay. And so I woke up, and it was such a vivid dream. Like it wasn't something where I read upon Mudangs by chance and it just suddenly popped up in a dream like that, because I had no idea about these things. I just kind of started researching like indigenous Korean religion or spirituality or something like that. And eventually I found some poorly written English articles about Mudang tools, like sacred tools. And I saw some pictures, and they were exactly of the things that I had received in my dream from my ancestors. And so I reached out to my mom. My mother is native Korean, so she's bilingual as well. And she helped me reach out to an elder to basically be vetted to verify that I had the calling to become a Mudang. And I did. And so after that, we went through the process of going through the initiation ceremony with the elder and the training after that. And now we are here.
When did this happen? Was it like during the time you were in high school, college, or uni?
I want to say that weird electric shock feeling going down my neck and my shoulders, that started when I was like 13, 14 years old. And then that weird heart and lung crush feeling, that started when I was in my like early 20s.
This is by inheritance. How come you skip one generation? And your mom is a Mudang, right?
She is not a Mudang. So she actually originally had the calling first, but she ignored it. It was inherited from her to my little brother, but he didn't answer that either. And then it came to me.
Oh, it's actually going through the... Oh no, this is very much like the Native American shamanism that I've heard of. So it's, they inherited this from the ancestor. They go through the family, and definitely one person has to sort of like carry on the legacy.
Yeah. Take on that burden responsibility.
I mean, because you're based in the US, is it quite a big challenge for you to speak and get training from the elder, or do you have to go back to Korea from time to time?
So the elder that I had, so this is kind of convoluted history, sorry. Please be patient with me, everybody. So when I first had my initiation ceremony, it was into like a native Korean kind of lineage. So it was very, very traditional. That kind of training and time, that took a handful of years. And then because of some abusive relationship within the spirit family, like with some spirit sisters, I left that lineage. And so after that, what we call apprentices who essentially are abandoned or leave their spirit family, we call them that like lost babies. Because it is that kind of situation. Like you are never supposed to be going through this process and having a spirit mother essentially spiritually adopt you in the initiation ceremony. There should never be a situation where you essentially become abandoned because because the spirit mother or whoever else didn't do their responsibility by teaching that baby. So there's a lot of situations that can go into it. A lot of native Korean Mudang elders can be pretty abusive in their expectations in the relationship. Like they take advantage a lot of the disciples. So it can be really difficult to find one that is like really sincere about caring about you. After, I left, I was basically by myself for a year or so. And then I was very, very lucky in making contact with another elder who essentially took care of me, basically picked up any kind of lost knowledge that I didn't get and trained me from there. And so now this lineage that I'm a part of, it's more semi-traditional. So we maintain the core hyper-traditional aspects of what makes Mugyo like Mugyo. So like, as you can see, like my Shindang, like it's very traditional.
Yes, and I can't believe you are actually in the US. When I saw the video, I thought you're actually in Korea. Well done for shipping all the way, all this like sort of like tool. I don't know what you call them, but all the way from Korea. You just moved house. You managed to set this up for today's video. It looks great. From what I can see here.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
So
it was a lot of work.
You have to travel back to Korea because I understand that you have like this traditional garment or attire that you need to wear during the ceremony. Is there like a specific term for this ceremony, or I don't know? Do you have to do fasting before the ceremony? And well, now this is the most asked questions. Like, is what's happening in the movie Exhuma? Those are real chanting and also real ceremony. Is that how exactly the Mudang is performing their ceremony during the sacred, or what you call it?
Oh yeah. So in in Exhuma, like they actually did consult a really experienced elder Mudang. She's very, very well known because of how successful and how traditionally strict she is with how she practices. And so in the movie Exhuma, the chanting is actual sacred chants that we use in real life.
What is it for, the chanting, exactly?
So the particular chants that they're using is essentially like alerting the higher spirits, the higher gods. Like it's like an official decree. So, during when we had royal courts and whatnot, and there would be like a royal decree spoken out first before the guests arrive. It's very much like that. So we're being very respectful and alerting them like, we are hosting this ceremony for you. We have all these foods and offerings. Please come. Like, please attend, please come down. And some of the other chants were more for like cleansing and purification of the area.
I wasn't sure because, in the movie, it looks very Hollywood effect. It's like sort of, what about the tool? Because I saw that you have to put like some sort of dark color ingredients onto your face, because I remember she was doing that. And then she was having this knife looking tool. Is that like dance for welcoming the god or the deities?
So that kind of trance that she was doing, she was basically trying to get herself into a trance with the knives in order to bring the god down into her body. Those knives in particular, they're like our style of butcher knives, and they're very connected to only certain kinds of gods. So certain tools that you'll see, they're only connected with certain gods. Not every god is going to use those things, right? And so that particular part in the movie where she's like putting her hand in the fire and bringing out the coal and putting it on her face. So that is actually dokebi. Like it's the act of playing dokebi, the goblin god. And so that's a portion of that particular. So what we call sections in Gut, which is like the grand ceremonies that you saw, there's sections for each particular god to come down and play and do, whatever they want to do. So we call those sections Gori. So in that Gori, like she was bringing down that particular goblin god in order to play and like bring good fortune and prosperity.
Right. Oh, wow. It sounds like your journey to begin on this so-called light worker or the Mudang, it has been ups and downs some dramas, but eventually you're getting there and now you're settling in. You have like a really good elder to work with and to learn from. Have you ever thought about giving up at one point? I certainly did.
I mean, I think it was probably that first half year when I left that spirit family. I was feeling very depressed and again, like, it's very much abandonment. I am not receiving the spiritual care I was supposed to receive. And that can hurt a lot because of the amount of money that it costs to go through 신내림굿, which is the initiation ceremony with an elder. You can think of them similarly to like Jewish bar mitzvahs. It's like, you know, you're spending money for all the offerings, the food, the entertainment, and the time and labor that can go into that as well. But also what happens in Native Korea is like apprentices, when they go through the initiation ceremony with an elder, the elder will also add charges like labor fees essentially for the future training that will be going to that apprentice. So it's like a
school, an academy.
Exactly, yeah. And especially with the time that it takes to really get more of your basic knowledge, at least like 3 to 5 years. That's what, like
3 to 5 years.
Yeah. It's like a master's degree.
Yeah, actually, you can call it a master degree. 3 to 5 years. I'm actually quite surprised. I should say a serious profession. And do you study every week via video call, or I mean, where's your elder based? Is she based in the US?
She's based in Korea. So basically it's very like, I don't want to say touch and go. It's not quite that fluid, but it is very based on like, if I have questions about things that I come across or my practice, then she will always answer or like show me examples to help explain or show like what she means. And that's pretty much how I handle my training with my apprentices as well. It's very like, make sure you ask me questions when they pop up for you. Make sure you keep up communication with any like particular dreams or visions you might have. And just like, if I invite you to help, like even remotely with any rituals or ceremonies, make sure you come. So that way you actually get like the real life practice going through it rather than just reading words, because that doesn't do as much until you're actually there practicing. Yeah.
Like the on-job training similar to...
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Do you feel lonely? Because, I mean, the Mudang is not something very popular, let's say, in the US, I assume. So you're doing this at home by yourself. Like, do you feel like you're on your own, or not really, because you are in a good hand with all your ancestor and this sort of like spiritual lineage, you know that God will guide you? How do you feel about this whole setting?
Honestly, it can be a little bit lonely, just because like once you experience having that spiritual community in person and going through a ceremony with that group, I mean, doing it remotely doesn't come close, but you know, we have to do what we have to do in order to serve the community. So remotely is the most accessible, especially when it comes to money, in terms of these services. But doing it in person, like there's definitely more camaraderie. It's like easier to build up that spiritual energy. Everybody like can work together. I will say, like, you know, my spirit family, we have our own specific Discord server. So we keep in contact a lot. We always talk, like even just random mundane life stuff. Like we know each other really well and we consider each other friends and we're all very close. So thankfully we have that.
Okay, sounds very, very interesting. I don't know how the audience find this, but I'm pretty sure that you guys have more questions and would like to find out a bit more about how this really works. And I would like to invite you for my next episode to talk further and perhaps, you know, just to, you know, talk about your challenging cases, like some of the cases, like what are the craziest things, crazy people that you have encountered, and so on and so on. But I think for today, like we talk about the Exhuma, everyone wants to know. Although I did think there was a bit of exaggerating scenes like in the movie. For example, the coffin, you know. I'm not too sure. Is this like a real practice, like where they actually put the coffin in horizontal, sort of like upwards.
That part was because of the plot, like the story.
That's what I thought, but at least the whole ceremony and the chanting, the wordings are real. This is how the Mudang works. It's not like something that I make it out. And I wasn't too sure who was the famous person, like. But I'm glad that you guys did this movie because it's kind of introducing this whole culture of the native, the Mudang, the Korean Mudang to the world because it's a big, huge sort of box office hit, at least in Asia. I'm not too sure about in America. Maybe it is.
It was pretty popular out here too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and to me, the first time when I saw it, I'm always fascinated by all this like shamanism, Native American and Korean as well, because I've seen it so many times in all those like old Korean movies. Thank you so much today for this episode. So please share, like, and follow her on her TikTok and also her Instagram. Do you have some other sort of like social media platform as well?
I mostly also just use my actual website, firelightlotus.com. I do have a YouTube channel as well, but I don't really upload very much. It's all just stuff I've posted on my Instagram. So it would be better to just follow my Instagram.
I saw you have a couple of services, including online sort of like consultation as well. And to talk about your, well, perhaps I should let you do the sort of like chat because I'm not too sure. Like I can't remember all your service, but I know there's some of it. It's about different readings. Yeah, perhaps you can have like a brief sort of like introduction to my on your services, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So for anyone that might be curious, I offer a lot of different spiritual services depending on what the person needs. It is very much case by case scenario because everybody has different ancestors. There can be different details impacting your own case. So it really is best to talk to like myself or another professional directly. So the services I typically offer are like God divination called Shinjom. It's basically just, whatever questions you might have, Shinongnim, my gods, will show me or tell me the answers and I'll repeat it back to you. I also offer like rituals and like ceremonies for, honestly, we can do those things for almost anything that you might need. And I also offer pujok, which is like traditional paper talismans.
Wow. That sounds amazing. So thank you for your time and we will continue for the next episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching, everyone.
Thanks.
You should bet on me like I'm Apple in the 90s. You should bet on me. Gonna wanna get behind me like I'm 23. Before Nike was on Nikes, you should bet on me. You should bet on me.